So the next thing I want to talk about right now is using ND filters. And back in 2017, I traveled with a family to South Carolina, to Charleston, to catch the solar eclipse. And I had zero experience, even though I had many years of experience taking pictures, I had zero experience taking pictures of the sun and of solar eclipses. And I went online and people were saying, oh, you can use a very dark ND filter. ND filters should not be used to take pictures of the sun. It would have to be something very specialized under very specific circumstances. But generally, you do not want to use ND filters to take pictures of the sun. Now, I bought a variable ND filter, and you can see on the side the range is from ND8 to ND2000. So let's put that ND filter on to the camera. There's a warning inside the manual that you should never remove filters while the camera is on. So let's turn the camera off. So we woke up the camera. Now we've pressed the button to turn it off. Wait for the lens to retract, and the camera is off. And I'm going to assume that the reason why Nikon says you should not change filters with the camera on is that you could probably damage the motors that are used to do the zoom on the lens. So remember that. Never change filters, unscrew or screw in filters while the camera is on. So we have the camera off. We've screwed it on the filter. So let's turn the camera back on. Okay, camera is on, and let's go on the filter and let's change this. Let's put it at a minimum. Let's put it at a minimum right there. We're gonna take some pictures. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the reason why we definitely have to use ND filters under certain conditions. I've been, talking about examples of that, but now I'm going to illustrate them. For example, this is a picture I took in the Miami Zoo, and as you can see, I was using the filters at this time, and at this time when I took this picture, and as you can see, there are clouds moving across the sky, but these blue spots, had it not been for the ND filter, I would not have been able to get these spots here looking blue, because pointing the camera up into the sky with the sun so bright, it would have been just so overwhelming. And when you're taking pictures with a filter, an ND filter, yes, sometimes the pictures are going to be underexposed. But you know what? It's better to have your pictures underexposed than overexposed, and here's why. If your picture is underexposed, in other words, you have dark areas, you can use the basic, the default picture editing tool with Windows that comes with Windows. I'm assuming there's also a default editing tool for Mac and also for Linux. And you can just use that to brighten your picture and take out those dark spots and get those details back. Because if a picture is underexposed, meaning it doesn't have enough light, then guess what? The detail is there. You just need to brighten the picture so that the details will stand out. If you're not using a filter and that picture is overexposed, in other words, it's too bright, it's almost impossible to get back those details. And if you do get back some details, then they're not going to look very nice. So that's why we use an ND filter, just to reduce some of that light so that you can get those details. And if the pictures need to be edited in any way to bring out those details, then that's something easy on the computer. So using the default picture editing program that comes built into Windows. So in other words, you don't have to go out and buy any fancy software. Use your filters properly, use the settings on your camera properly, and then you can just use the basic tool that comes with your operating system to adjust the picture. So using the basic Windows video editing tool, I'm going to show you how you can correct certain things on your photos and bring out certain details. So here's a picture that I took, and you're probably wondering, okay, what are we looking at? But there was something I saw, so let's move on to the next picture to see what it was that I saw. And here you can see there's this lizard here, probably an iguana, and I was able to get this nice picture because I had my ND filter, and so the picture wasn't overexposed. Very nice picture. And not only did I get that nice picture, but because the subject was not moving, because he or she thought she was perfectly camouflaged, then I was able to zoom in even closer and get this picture. This next picture, I should say. Now, in a situation like this, what can you do to this picture? Because this is a very nice picture. So how can you improve this? Now, the ND filter obviously took away some of the brightness. So what can we do here? Well, I was there. I saw the lizard. I knew what it was looking like under those circumstances. So what I can do, I can go here. I can go edit. I can go adjustments. And then right here where it says light, I can just move that line up and I can brighten that picture. See, I've gotten rid of many of those shadows, but now it looks slightly washed out. So I can come down here to color and I can do this, and I can bring back a lot of that color. And voila, we have a very beautiful picture. Let's cancel that. Now I could save that if I want to. Let's go back to the other picture. So here we have the lizard right here. We go edit. And then I go adjustments. And then I can say I have a lot of dark spots. I have a lot of shadows. So let me brighten that picture. 70. Okay, so let's now add some color to bring back the wonderful look that I witnessed that day. So just by making small adjustments to your pictures that are slightly underexposed on purpose because of the ND filter, then you can get some really beautiful pictures. I could save that if I want to, but I'm not going to, so I can cancel and then I can click OK. Let's move on to some more pictures. Now in this situation, I'm going to explain a different way that we can use an ND filter. We know it's a waterfall and we know the water is flowing, but because it's frozen an instant of time, it takes away from the image. But as I started adjusting the filter and making the filter darker and darker, look at what's going to happen. So the next picture, you see that the water gives a great impression that it's flowing. Next picture, see that the filter slightly darker. Now why does this happen? Well, this happens because as you make the filter, the ND filter darker, the camera says, hey, I'm not getting enough light. And here with the filter even darker, it comes out much better. Now with the ND filter at this setting, this was perfect for me. So what you can do here, you can go edit, adjustments, and let's brighten that photo a bit. Not too much, just take away a lot of those shadows, and then we can come here and we can improve the color, get some of that color back in, and this turns out to be a wonderful picture. Everything else is in focus because they're not moving, but the water, the only thing that's moving, and it looks slightly blurred, but that blurred movement conveys the idea that the water is moving. And you can do this in several situations to get a very nice picture. There's a very nice picture, one of my favorites. I took of a squirrel, a very nice spot, just chilling between those branches, having his food. And I didn't want to get any closer, I didn't want to spook him, so I did that, and I was able to zoom in and get a nice shot. Of course, if I want this brighter, I could also do this, and the filter was on. I think it was a bit overcast then, but I didn't have the time to take the filter off because I figured he was going to move at any minute. So if we go adjustments, we can do this. We can make that brighter, and then we can just add some color. Beautiful, nice shot. So I hope you're getting the idea here that you don't always have to get the perfect shot, but if you get them nice enough, then you can make some fine-tuning on the computer. And here again, I zoom the camera even further in, and this picture could probably make the cover of a magazine. Edit, adjustments, and we could even push that color up. We don't want to make it too bright. And then we bring the color up. So with that color up, can we make it slightly darker? Maybe, yeah. Basically just play with these until you get the perfect picture. But we're not going to do that. We're going to leave it at that. So here's a photo that I took. So let's go back to the original photo and do a right click, file info. And here it's telling me the date, the actual date the photo was taken. And it says the shutter speed was 1/8 of a second, the aperture, and the ISO. So by knowing this information, you can actually put the camera in the manual mode, and then you can imitate this. Now, if the picture comes out a bit dark, you might say, you know what, I'd like to get it a bit lighter. I don't want to have to edit too much on the computer. I like to get this picture better, get more light, get a bit more detail. So here's what you do. You make a note of this information right here, put your camera in manual mode, and then you can probably drop this from 1/8 of a second to 1/4 of a second, and you take the picture. And then you review that picture. And if it doesn't look bright enough, you can probably change it to 1/2 a second. And what I like to do, I like to take several pictures and just change the shutter speed. I'd like to keep the aperture as wide as possible to get as much light coming in as possible, and just change that shutter speed. And you keep changing that shutter speed, and you take several pictures with different shutter speeds. And then once you get home and you look at those pictures on the computer, then you can say, okay, which one of these do I want to keep or do I want to use? And if there are any small edits that need to be done, then you can just go ahead and do that on the computer, or you might not need any edits at all. But that's a very good way of learning from your computer, because each computer is different because of the sensor size and so on, and the lens used. So learn from experience, from taking these pictures and reviewing the information on those pictures. What are the best settings to use for taking pictures under those conditions? And of course, this is the end result of me editing the picture on the computer, but it's not the best because here you still see these shadows, this noise inside the picture. Not the best. So try and get the picture as good as possible in the field instead of having to edit on the computer. So there's a picture I took of my wife and my daughter. It's a water feature, I should say. And I got this nice picture, making sure that I was using a high shutter speed. It was in automatic mode actually. And by using a flash, I was able to get that higher shutter speed because it was in automatic mode. And then you can see the water drops being frozen in time. I actually edited the previous picture and I was able to get more light. This is just an artistic touch. And things like that, you can do to get to have some fun with your pictures. And there are other situations where you could probably do the same thing that I did with the waterfall. By slowing down the shutter speed, you could actually show how the water is actually moving and get the movement of the water instead of freezing these droplets in time. In fact, I think I have that picture, so I'll show that to you right now. And here we are back at the picture of this beautiful green lizard. I hope you were able to benefit a bit from, or maybe a whole lot from what I've discussed regarding taking pictures with ND filters. You won't always have the time to set up properly your camera or a tripod, and many of these pictures I had to take just walking around, just looking, and as I came across these different scenarios, I had to snap the pictures right away because I knew the animals were not gonna hold that pose forever. They're not gonna wait on me to take a picture, so I had to be ready. And as soon as I snapped these pictures, oftentimes the animals would just move away, fly away, or walk away, or run away. So it's good to have your camera ready, primed, and ready to go. In previous episodes, I've spoken about rapid fire, taking pictures rapid fire, like many shots, and this camera I think will do 7 frames per second. And when you're taking picture of wildlife, especially wildlife that's not gonna hold the same position, it's the best mode to use. And then when you fire off all those pictures, then you just go back when you're at home, you just review those pictures and choose the best ones and do minor adjustments. So thanks again for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe. If you have any questions, or if you have any special requests about what features you'd like to see or how you'd like to do certain things with this camera or any bridge camera for that matter, just feel free to comment below. Thanks.